So can you see my slides? Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Souvik Roy. I'm a second year MTech student in CSC in IIT Gandhinagar. The title of my thesis is Estimation of PM 2.5 using satellite and meteorological data. This work has been done on the guidance of Professor Nipun Batra. So before starting anything, let's understand what PM 2.5 is. PM stands for particulate matter, and particulate matter is nothing but a mixture of solid and liquid particles, which includes dust, pollen, liquid droplets, and things which are suspended in the air. But PM 2.5 are particulate matter with a diameter, aerodynamic diameter of less than 2.5 micrometer. We have PM 10, which has a diameter of 10 and less. So, according to WHO, value of 25 is considered good. But why do we need to estimate PM 2.5? On an average, a person inhales about 11,000 liters of air every day, and PM 2.5 are very small particles and it affects a person's health. It can easily get into the lungs and cause respiratory diseases. And these pollution are always caused by anthropogenic emissions from constructions, industrial activities, biomass burning, and also augmented by meteorological factors like wind speed, temperature, humidity, etc. So let's look at the air pollution scenario in India. We can see that there's a reduced life expectancy. An average Indian can gain up to, a recent study showed that an average Indian can gain up to 5.2 years of life if we were to meet the WHO guidelines. And let's start with the motivation of our study. Ground-based sensors are not enough. So, is one sensor enough to capture the entire air quality of a city? No, because they're expensive. The one station costs around 1.5 crores. We need 4,000 continuous monitoring stations in India, and we only have 231, covering 129 districts with at least one monitor in one district. The major problem with ground-based sensors is it provides a very low spatial coverage. A single station cannot represent the entire air pollution of the entire city. So what's the solution? So we look at satellite data, which is an alternative estimation technique, which is our goal of study. So we use satellite data because it provides a much better spatial coverage. We use a measurement called aerosol optical depth, which is depicted here. This is an example of how aerosol optical depth looks. So this global status of PM 2.5 looks like this. The sensor network is very sparse, and the population density does not correctly represent that. But whereas if we see the estimated PM 2.5, satellite estimated PM 2.5, it can correctly uh, give you a better estimation for places which do not have a sensor as well. So, what is satellite and what is ground-based measurement? By satellite, we mean AOD, which is a column integrated value, which is calculated from the top of the atmosphere to the surface level. It is a measure of how much light is attenuated by the particles present in that column. Whereas PM 2.5 are particles less than 2.5 micrometer in diameter. So this shows a very good image where you can see that the satellite here has a column of 10 kilometer radius, and this one here has a surface level PM 2.5 sensor, and the column captures all the aerosol particles, which contributes to aerosol optical depth. So the problem statement of our study, the first was to predict the concentration of surface level PM 2.5 using satellite derived AOD. Then we further examine the addition of meteorological fields like temperature, humidity, wind speed, etc., and see how it affects the AOD PM 2.5 relationship. The third objective was to see a temporal dependence in the prediction. This basically means we take three different points where we see that if using historical data is actually good in predicting PM 2.5 or not. So coming to the previous work, some of the work has directly estimated PM 2.5 using chemical transport models called GeoChems model, which and using retrieved DOD from satellite. And then using meteorological data showed an improvement of over 20 to 50% in RMSE. Recent work in this field uses high resolution MAC AOD. Previously, it used 10 kilometer MODIS AOD, and it also was available in 3 kilometer. But now all the recent work has been using high resolution MAC AOD. Okay, so the first data set that we used for our study was in the USA. It has 3 years of 24-hour average PM measurements along with AOD and meteorological data. All of them are co-located in time and space over 85 monitoring stations in the USA. Spatial resolution of this AOD is 10 kilometer and 10 kilometer, and meteorological data is 20 kilometer and 20 kilometer. The second data set is for India, which we have curated, which is collected over these 6 cities, and it contains the same values which the previous data set has, 24-hour average PM. But here we use MAC AOD instead of MODIS AOD, which is a better high resolution AOD over 45 monitoring stations in 6 cities. The 6 cities are Ahmedabad, Delhi, Jaipur, Ajmer, Kota, and Udaipur. So duration is from January 2016 to April 2019. The spatial resolution of MAC AOD is 1 kilometer, and meteorological data is from ERFI, which is 30 kilometer into 30 kilometer. So we see how we have collected the data set for India. So we used OpenAQ API to fetch data. It has total number of monitoring stations 45. Delhi has the most number of air quality stations as 37. As shown in the figure here, you have 37 sensors located spatially close to each other. Most of the stations that we've got had very sparse data. So we see how we have collected AOD. So AOD has been collected from Earth data from NASA's website. We use MARC, which combines Aqua and Terra inputs and provides a much better high resolution AOD. So we use the product MCD19A2, and it also has other atmospheric properties like column water vapor, cloud mask, AOD uncertainty, AOD, etc. So we select a particular sinusoidal tile which covers all the 6 cities here, and this tile contains this tile covers an area of 1200 kilometer into 1200 kilometer. So each pixel in this tile corresponds to 1 kilometer into 1 kilometer. So we collocate MAC AOD with PM 2.5, where we take all the sensors, we take all the locations of the 45 sensors, and we take the MAC AOD file, and then we calculate the nearest lat long using Haversine formula. We take the closest index, we take the values which are there in the MCD file, AOD, column, timestamp, orbit number. For different orbit numbers, we store all the values in an NumPy file, then we convert it to pandas, and then all the required data cleaning has been done, and the final collocation between AOD and PM 2.5 has been performed. Data collection for meteorological data has been done using ERA5. ERA5 is basically a reanalysis data which combines historical observations with today's weather model, today's numerical output. The spatial resolution is 30 kilometer into 30 kilometer. We used an API from Copernicus, CDS, it's called CDS API, to extract features like temperature, boundary layer height, etc. So as you can see from the graph here, an increase in temperature causes the boundary layer height to increase, which hinders the mixing of the pollutants because the boundary layer height, so now the pollutants can easily mix with the atmosphere, thereby decreasing PM 2.5. So as there's an increase in boundary layer height, which decreases pollution because the mixing has been hindered. So then we finally integrate all the values, AOD, PM 2.5, and meteorological data by keeping PM 2.5 at highest temporal resolution. For collocating, we select the closest coordinate of a sensor and merge it with the meteorological values corresponding to that location for the same date. Rows with values greater than 800 for PM 2.5 are treated as outliers and dropped. Missing values of AOD were also dropped. So we did an initial sanity check, which was done station-wise, where we see for dataset 1 and dataset 2, the number of observations is 23,000, and the standard deviation for USA dataset is very low compared to India. So is the range, where you see that the range is 1.33 to 102. So there's not much of a variation in the USA dataset, whereas compared to India, you see from 1.5 to 788, which is a huge variation, and the standard deviation is 98. So the mean is very high compared to dataset 1. For both the dataset, we select the first 30 and the last 30 PM 2.5 and AOD observation, and we examine the correlation. So we have columns which have the names of all the stations, first 30, last 30, and then we take the average. So the average for the first dataset comes out to be 0.35. The second one comes out to be 0.48, 0.08. So the overall R comes out to be 0.55, which is much greater compared to what we get for India. Why? Because there was a huge variation in observation for India's dataset. Lack of AOD calibration, which can be calibrated using CAMS AOD and other AOD methods, reanalysis methods. And we also see that there were a lot of missing AOD retrievals at locations, as you can see from the image previously, that there were a lot of missing values for AOD, which are basically covered by the clouds. So the method.
So Souvik, before you, Souvik, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you go back? This slide. So what was the median values here?
So it was very close to the mean here. So I think it was, I have not reported it here. So for first data set, it was 13, and for this one, it was around 120.
And what does this suggest?
So it suggests that the variation in the second data set for India is much, much higher compared to the first one. The values lie between 1.5 to 788, and the standard deviation, as you can see, is 98.15.
Mm-hmm.
So the stretch, so that's why the bandwidth of the PM2.5 values is much, much greater compared to the first one in for USA.
Okay. And is there, do you know that is there any constraint on like when we can perform Pearson correlation? Like what kind of distributions we can do and what kind of distributions we cannot do Pearson correlation?
So I think both of the distribution in like the PM2.5 values in both of, so I think they were both unimodal, and that's when we like firstly we checked for both both the distributions were same in first data set and second data set, and after that we moved to Pearson's correlation test.
No, so the distributions here are very different, right?
Oh, okay. So I mean the range you're talking about.
No, 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 I'm not talking about the range. I'm talking about the shape of the distribution. So
Right.
Pearson,
Okay.
Pearson correlation depends on the shape of the distribution also, right? But this is okay. You can
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So the three. So we performed three experiments. The first one was done using ridge regression, which basically avoids overfitting and large variance caused by linear regression, and it adds a small penalty value of using a regularization coefficient. This is using L2 regularization. So this makes it less sensitive to the training data. So the second methodology that we used was nonlinear random forest modeling to calculate feature importance, and this was done using MAE. And this basically tells us which feature is more important in both the data sets. The third one was, since PM2.5 is a time-dependent variable, we can only use training data. As you can see, the blue ones are training data here to predict the test data sets which occur later in time. So we take an average over all this, and then we find the correct value. So future data should not be used to predict the past. So the key evaluation metrics that we use were Pearson's correlation coefficient, mean absolute error, root mean squared error. And then we see what the details of first experiment is. We evaluate the relationship of AOD with PM2.5. The train test split was 80:20. Ridge regression was performed over five-fold cross validation. Regularization coefficient was optimized using validation set, which was the last 20% of the training set. Then we add meteorological fields, temperature, wind speed, humidity, etc., one by one based on their correlation coefficient with PM2.5. So whichever had the highest PM2 correlation coefficient, we select that first, and then we keep adding it to AOD to see what the metrics show. So these are the results for the. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
sorry, so one more question.
Yeah.
So this data is partitioned into train and test on a spatial scale or on a temporal scale.
So these are all on the spatial scale.
So
Like
some
you
of
have.
this, yeah. So that means that suppose you have some sensor values in Delhi, right? So you have
So,
not taken all these sensor
if you're
values.
talking about the correlation, then both spatiotemporal correlation have been, so all the data, PM2.5 meteorological and AOD data have been co-located in space and time. So,
Mm-hmm.
so these are like both spatial and temporal co-location of all the three modalities, all the three
And how do
features.
you define a training point in your data set then?
Training point, as in like in what sense we're training. So
So
we,
like,
we
yeah, continue. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we have like, let's say, AOD values and PM2.5 values, and then so these are all co-located in space and time. So we define a training point as like we use ridge regression. So we split the data set into 80:20, and then we validate it over 20%. So I didn't quite get the question, like as in what do you mean by training point?
So, so you have the data set, right? Data set, each point in your data set is a training point, like for which from which you have trained.
Hmm.
So, what is that point actually? That's what I want to understand.
Okay, so the point there is basically which contains all the values of that particular. So you have a date time, a timestamp. So you have the
Mm-hmm.
date, time, the PM 2.5 value for that particular date and time. Then you have the AOD value and other meteorological factors like temperature, humidity. So all of them are co-located in space and time.
Okay, I understand. Okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. So we see the first data. We see the result for the first experiment for the first data set. So adding meteorological data actually improves the correlation coefficient and reduces error. As we keep on like adding the meteorological terms, we see that so this is because meteorological fields are related to PM 2.5. Because high wind speeds sweep away pollutants, more humidity actually accounts for obstructions by water particles which impact the pollutants. So the best for the best model, the RMSE received was what we observed was 5.655, which is really good compared to what we'll see later. Because so these are the regression plots. As you can see that the model was not correctly able to estimate after for the for the larger values. So moving on to the second data set for India, we see a very poor correlation between AOD and PM 2.5 in the sanity check station-wise correlation test. So this is substantially improved by adding meteorological fields. So high MAE and RMSE is attributed to the large variation and range of the PM 2.5 as shown previously. And these are the six regression plots. So the best RMSE was 72.99. This is for the overall data set. So as you can see, these are the regression plots, and the model is not able to capture the points which are higher in range. So if the observed value is 500, more than 400, it's not correctly able to estimate it properly. So moving to the second experiment that we do using random forest. So the best performing feature set was the last one for both the data sets. So we select that and we apply, we use random forest performed over fivefold cross validation. We split it into 80/20. The feature importance is calculated by reduction of variance using MA. We optimize for number of trees and maximum depth of the tree as a hyperparameter tuning, and then we receive so these are the results for the first data set. We see an improvement from 0.66 to 0.69, and since this is a non-linear model, we definitely will see that the temperature is given the most preference for out of all the features, and this is the most important. So in the first data set, temperature was turns out to be the most important feature in estimating PM 2.5. So in the second, we use this model to predict for all the stations, and we report the best RMSE and the worst RMSE. So this is for one of the stations, for which we get a RMSE of a really good RMSE of 1.62, and for the worst RMSE was 5.08. As you can see, there's a large variation in the observed values, and that's why the model performs badly and it reports an RMSE of 5.08. For the second data set, we see a drastic improvement from zero point 0.6 to 0.75 for R value, and an MAE and RMSE are also decreased. From RMSE is decreased from 72.99 to 60.34. The most important feature was surface pressure in this, because high surface pressure events are associated with high PM 2.5 due to the lower vents and the decrease of the mixing height. So surface pressure turned out to be the most important feature for our dataset too. We do the same thing, and we use a model to predict on all the stations for all the 45 stations, and we report the best one and the worst one. So the best one was Patparganj, Delhi, which showed a best RMSE of 17.88, and it was broadly able to capture the trend. And if you can see, the worst RMSE of all the stations were in Pusa, Delhi, which gave an RMSE of 52.95. But if you notice that the trend has been broadly captured by the model. So as you can see, there's a spike here. The observed and the estimated do show a spike. So we can see that broadly the model is able to classify between if it's a good or a bad air quality or not. So the third experiment that we do is a seasonal analysis. We split the total number of monitoring stations using fivefold cross validation. So basically, this ensures that the number of stations in which we are training are not the same as the ones that we're testing on. We use ridge regression with regularization coefficient and lambda, and the last 20% is used as validation set. We choose three different training sets in different points of time, which is we use first as previous year's data, then we use previous month's data and same month's data to predict on the same test set. Notice that same month's data does not mean from the same training set. We use different training stations and different testing stations. We fix a particular month of a year across all the seasons for predictions to evaluate the performance of all the three training sets. So seeing the results will be much more clearer. We train on 68 stations and test it on 17 stations. So as you can see, this summer has an MA of, so these MA 1, 2, 3, they refer to the three training sets. And we see that for summer, there's a huge, compared to all the other seasons, it's more because we observe that the variation, there's a large variation in the testing stations measurements recorded in summer. That's why the MA is more compared to other stations. The results show that using temporary closer data, which is training set 3, which is used for the same month's data, can predict better compared to MA2 and MA1. So these were our findings for dataset 1. For dataset 2, we see the similar thing, where we see that MA3 performs much better than MA1 and MA2. So this shows that using temporarily closer data in temporal times can actually be better than using historical data. So we see that the MAE for winter was really high and compared to all the three other stations. Let's see why that happens. These are the observations for all the testing stations recorded in December 2018. So this is due to the large variation or frequent variation in PM2.5 measurements recorded in the test stations for winter. So that is why we observe a very high RMSE as compared to other seasons. So moving on, the future work would be to calibrate MAC AOD with CAMS AOD because we did not see a very good correlation between AOD and PM2.5, which was a hypothesis that we would see since we have seen for USA dataset. So MAC AOD needs calibration with other sources from and using higher resolution meteorological data. We used 30 kilometer to 30 kilometer. WRF model would be able to provide us with much better, higher resolution meteorological data, which would improve the predictions. And fusing modalities between satellite and ground can achieve much better, higher accuracy. And PM 2.5 is actually not that easy to estimate. So we need to account for the non-stationary variables as well, like traffic, demographic factor, climate, mobility data, etc. So this is one example, which is the normalized vegetation index, which shows how much green is there in the target area, basically. So concluding, we curated a data set for India with PM 2.5, AOD, and meteorological data. We saw that the meteorological factors resulted in a better correlation when added to the two-variate method of AOD and PM 2.5. Poor correlation in AOD and PM 2.5 were observed for the second data set, which can be explained by the high variability of PM 2.5, sparse AOD data, and incorrect calibration of AOD. Estimation works better for low variation in PM 2.5, and using temporally closer data to predict air quality can be better than using historical data for both the datasets. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I think Udit, mind if you can ask, if you want to ask anything.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. So again, one comment is that you should have started from the literature review. A lot of work has been done in the area of remote sensing and monitoring of particulate matter. So your first couple of slides where you are talking about basic terminology should exactly be talking about what others have done, that what is the key gap that you are trying to address. Of course, you were talking about it even in your conclusion, but this is more of a presentation comment that so that people don't get lost, that is it just an exercise where you're testing it, so what is the exact gap that you are highlighting. So second thing is that what is the satellite or remote sensing product that you are using?
MCD 1982 for AOD. MCD 1982.
Your voice is not very clear.
Hello, sir. Am I clear now? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So the product that we used was MCD 1982 for.
On what satellite it is mounted?
It's basically a product which is mounted. So we use the MODIS sensor and it combines the outputs from Terra and Aqua
Okay.
and gives a much better resolution at 1 kilometer. So this is, wait, I'll just show you. Yeah,
And what is
this one.
swath of the sensor on which it is mounted?
So this is H24V6, which basically means that this area is covering 1200 kilometer into 1200 kilometer.
Okay.
So the entire grid is divided into uh, H and V, which are sinusoidal tiles, and then we convert from sinusoidal to lat long, and then we co-locate that with PM2.5.
And what is the sampling interval?
So we have different. So we get one MCB19 file for 1 day, but it has different orbits. So it has different timestamps. So let's say one file can have, for a particular location in Delhi, it can have three time passes, or like three orbits, like at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., and 12, something like that. Depends on day to day.
Okay. And what was the reason you decided to go with Era 5 when Era Advance is available?
So, firstly, we also saw that we tried using Dark Sky API, but ERA5 was the one which was easily available. We tried getting WRF, but it was not publicly available. ERA5 was publicly available, and it was,
WRF is a model. WRF is not a data. It's a model.
yeah, WRF is a model, and the values which we get from the WRF model. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Mayank, you have questions?
Yeah, I have just one question. So, Souvik, your first model was, it seems that your first model was underestimating the values and your second model was overestimating the values. So, have you checked by combining both of them together?
Actually, I haven't combined both of them together. The first one was a linear model, and the second one, random forest, was a non-linear. I think the second model captures the feature importance well, and that's why it gives much more feature importance to surface pressure, which accounts for the high correlation value of PM 2.5. And so, basically, I haven't done a combination of the two regression.
So, maybe can you just check it once? So, it might give you better values, lesser error value.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Another observation was this, that so are these features also dependent on the location? So the temperature I remember was more prominent in case of the USA, right? And the surface
Yeah.
pressure is more important in
Yeah.
case of India.
Yeah.
So why is that thing happening?
So it does not necessarily mean, so we cannot use just temperature to, let's say, predict PM 2.5, because if you have a temperature, so you can have comparable temperatures between Gandhinagar and Delhi, but the PM 2.5 levels of both the places would be much different. So every meteorological factor and AOD varies across different locations. So it just depends upon the kind of data that we are seeing in both the dataset 1 and dataset 2, which accounts for which particular meteorological field acts. So if we have more data, if we have bigger data sets, so it might be that some other meteorological feature might perform better than some other.
Okay. So suppose instead of constructing two different models, one for USA and one for India, can we construct a single model? Will that work?
So I think it would. So if we construct a single model, if you have values from 1 to 102, so again if the model learns on such a data set which only shows values, so if you can see that the values range from 1 to 102 for dataset 1 USA, but in case of India it ranges from 1.5 to 788. So if we have trained a model on USA values, and if we test it on India's values, it won't be working well. Because
so that is okay. That is okay. But what I'm saying is that we can take the data of both of these two different countries together, right, and train a single model.
Yeah.
So will that work? Will this kind of model work, or what do you think about that?
So I think that since both of them are calibrated differently, and we'd see different, but that's a very interesting thing. We can try that. We haven't looked at that, because both the values are from different years. So the USA values from 2004 to 2006, and India's values from 2016 to 2019. So it depends on. That's a very interesting thing.
Okay. Nipun, I'm done.
Okay, does anyone else have questions? Anyone from the students or from the audience? Okay, if not, then let's thank Souvik for the presentation and thank you all for joining. So the committee members can stay back, and I think everyone else can leave. Yes, Souvik, I think you can also take leave now. I'll